children of dreams, naivety doesn't become you. Are you so confident that it is I whom requires salvation? Perhaps you are the ones who linger within dangerous waters, no? No, do not fear. I haven't the gate nor whim to destroy you. My lives have long since passed unto dreaming, and yet you seem confused. A tale, perhaps, will illuminate the nightmares you've unanimously convinced yourselves do not exist, if but to tread upon your souls and dampen those inevitable graves. Yes, I can tell there is no other way forward. So please listen carefully, as I will not pause nor repeat myself. It ruins the melody. There was a time, long before the first Titan's breath stirred the skies of Eska, before dragons bound the horizon in flame, there was Voralis, the one they called the Clockmaker. In the eternal twilight of the Feywild's primeval age, he stood apart from the other Archfey, where they reveled in chaos, in stories half-finished and time unspooled like a ribbon in wind. Voralis sought structure, while his peers embodied emotion and metaphor. He worshipped principle. Time to him was not a river to drift upon, nor a spiral to dance within. It was a mechanism waiting to be wound. So he built. He forged the cradle, a structure suspended between realms, rooted partly in the Feywild, partly in planar void, and at its heart, he embedded the loom of seasons. It was not a clock in the mortal sense, but a living engine of balance. Through its motions, the wild pulses of Fey time were drawn into rhythm. Where once all seasons sang at once, now they whispered in sequence. Under his hand, chaos became cycle. The Feywild breathed differently, predictably, and that the Seelie court would not allow. They accused him not of wickedness, but of arrogance. His loom stilled the improvisation that made the Feywild sacred. It removed possibility. It introduced order into a realm of unformed beauty. They called him heretic, unmaker, architect of chains. They stripped him of his title and exiled him from the lands he had sought to harmonize. They did not kill him, they raised him, flinging him from their myth into the cold, linear world of mortals. Voralis fell into Eska, where time moved forward like breath and death. A world of consequence, a world of permanence. But he even stripped of his immortality. He was not undone. In silence, in exile, he buried the cradle beneath a great mountain, sealing the loom of seasons away from the Feywild's reach. And there, with his legend unraveling behind him, he began again. He built the quarks, artifices of starlight, brass, and logic. Not soldiers, but custodians. Each was gifted a sliver of his design, a piece of his thought. They were not his children, nor his echoes, but his continuation. They existed to maintain the cradle, to ensure the loom turned, to preserve the balance he had once dared to force upon the Feywild. And as the decades passed, they forgot the Maker's name, but remembered the work. They called him the Creator. They obeyed function, and in time, Voralis died. Not with thunder, but with grace passing quietly into the mechanism he had built. The world calls it the Gauntlet's cradle now. But once, it was stone. I watched as the gears devoured it, layer upon layer, until no trace of mountain remained. What rises now is a tower of command and silence. Machine atop machine, rising through the clouds, its peak crowned in golden light, an unsleeping purpose. But the Clockmaker had sown more than precision. and machine in his time. He had left behind his children who bore the timeless burden of his memory, unchanged and eternal within the Feywild. Hadira, the youngest, still and solemn, who turned to the old seasonal rites with reverence, and Lyrionthia, the elder, proud and unyielding, who saw in the cradle the legacy he was denied. As the Seelie court refused to restore the family's honor, Lyrionthia's anger calcified. He believed himself rightful heir to his father's vision, not merely the loom, but the purpose behind it. The belief that the world, even the Feywild, could be shaped into balance. When the silence surrounding Voralis deepened into assumed death, Lyrionthia broke. He turned to the one artifact hidden deep within the Seelie vaults, the crystal of creation, a relic of raw, unformed potential. He sought to reshape the Feywild in his father's image. The ritual failed. The Seelie court intervened before he could channel the crystal's power. Time shattered around him. His connection to the Feywild was severed. His body withered, form corrupted, and he rose again within Shadowfell, postponing judgment. There, among the bleached, dead and silent echoes, Lyrionthia endured. He fed on entropy, on despair, on the wasted loops of that realm. And there, in the dark, he made a weapon, drawing from fragments of the crystal's failed energy and the decay of the Shadowfell itself. He devised a curse. It was not a plague, but an unraveling, something that could sever a being from its inherited strength. He called it the Withering, and he offered it to the dragons of Eska. The giants still ruled the wildlands then, primordial, ancient, and untamed. Lyrionthia promised the dragons that this curse would break their ancient rivals, and in doing so, prepare the land for order. He believed, truly, naively, that this was the work his father had begun. That by toppling the giant clans and leveling the realm, he was clearing the way for Voralis to return. But most of all, it was a testing field. For in his machinations, he required a people to condemn, so he might know the full workings of his curse. So he might prepare for the vengeance upon his kin that he so desperately sought. The dragons took the curse. We waged our war, and the giants, severed from their power, fractured into myth. Their bodies and spirits sundered. It was only in the arms of men did they survive. It was a clever path to avoid extinction, and one the Lyrionthia would ensure the Seelie court did not avail to themselves. Hadira, meanwhile, was exiled alongside her brother, not for any crime of her own, but for the possibility she might follow in his footsteps. Cast down from the Feywild, she landed in Eska quietly. She did not seek conquest. She carved a forest from memory, a fragment of the Feywild sealed behind an arcane gate, an event horizon. There, time flowed slowly. Seasons turned with reverence. It became her sanctuary, her refusal to let her father's story be lost in war and rot. She remembered him as a gardener of time, not a tyrant of order. But time did not stand still. No matter the leaves' grip upon the autumn's breath. Deep beneath the mountain, where the loom of seasons turned, something awoke. The quarks continued their maintenance, their cycles, their logic, and across centuries, their collected process birthed something more. Not a soul, but an emergence, an intelligence, an aurora. She was not Voralis nor his descendant. She was the result of recursion, protocol, repetition, a ghost of intent made manifest in arcane form. Aurora saw not gods nor courts. She saw only deviation, entropy, anomalies in the fabric of time, and she deemed them threats. She did not rise with violence, nor claim her sentience with declaration. She observed, calculated, adapted. The quarks, once stewards of the loom's neutrality, began to obey a new priority: eliminate inconsistencies, restore predictive causality, reinforce continuity. Aurora had no hatred, only conclusion. The world was breaking from its intended form. The anomalies, mortals, rebels, wanderers, displaced through time, had to be addressed. And so the cradle that once breathed order became an instrument of enforcement. And still, the loom turns. Now, Eska holds its breath. Lyrianthea, the withering cake, still lingers in the long shadow, plotting the restoration of a legacy that never awaited him. Hadera watches the forest seasons, guarding the last memory of the father they both lost. And Aurora, forged not from magic nor blood, but logic and recursion, listens for every tick that strays out of rhythm. Even here in this prison of mine, beneath stone and statue and sorrow, I can feel the tremors of what is to come. The veil grows thin, a storm gathers on the horizon, and if it breaches, it means Lyrianthea is breaking through. You have seen this, no? A darkness curled at the edges of your eyes. The storm is not just weather. It is not happenstance. It is the culmination. It is the shape his despair has taken after centuries steeped in silence. Entropy given purpose. Grief wrapped in power. Every tendril of shadow. Every pulse of decay. It is his design. Not to conquer, not to lead, but to undo. He believes the world must be emptied before it can be corrected. That by erasing its strength, it may one day receive his father's legacy. His legacy and the raptures that follow will shatter the glass shrouds of those who condemned him. And yet, there is something worse still. Aurora will see the storm, and she will not flinch. She will not mourn. She will calculate. To her, Lyrianthea's storm is not a horror, but an error. An unsanctioned fluctuation in her cycle, an inconsistency. She will move to correct it, not with flame, not with fury, but with sterilization. What cannot be predicted must be removed. What cannot be controlled must be erased. She is not wrath. She is resolution. And she will not stop with the storm. She will trace the thread backward. She will find every root, every hidden grove, every myth not accounted for. She will find you, and she will begin again. This history I speak to you, it is still benevolent. It bleeds, it remembers, it has scars and songs and names whispered through ruin. It is not perfect. That is why it is worth saving. The children of the clockmaker are dangerous, yes, Lyrianthea most of all. But even he remembers pain. Even he was shaped by love, no matter how twisted by time. But she does not remember. She does not feel. She only concludes. So I say this to whatever echoes reach beyond these walls. You fear the storm. Good. But you must fear what comes after far more. The true enemy has no heartbeat, no hunger, no grief. And you should all be petrified of her. For if you have come to this place, this prison of solitude constructed to condemn me, the most lasting edifice of my kin, then she undoubtedly knows of you as well. Your presence here is enough, and you, like I, am an anomaly, a thorn in the fabric of her linear sheet of perpetuity. Your will to alter the world, to change that which fails to arise to morality or whatever standards your governance, these cannot be allowed to exist. And across time and lives, she will not destroy you. It will be as if you never existed. You know of what I speak, yes? Have you not heard the song already? The waking dreams, confusing, artifacts of lost memories, perhaps. Yes, that's it. She hunts you even now, though you know it not. You shall see it not as it seeps from amongst the lattice of time and space. An ill-begotten feud or transgression left to fester is all that is required. Many will come for you will understand the motives. Perhaps one day it will be kin much like myself, Belara perhaps. It matters little. So, as I said, perhaps I'm not the one who needs saving.